Hello friends, look what we have here. This is the school alley. This building there is our school, our institute. And right here next to it is this gorgeous patch of stinging nettle. Wonder how this got here? Well, I can tell you, I think I know a guy. And so this is one of our most amazing plants in our entire Materia Medica. It's free, it's an incredible superfood. And how do you know it? What are our keys to ID this beautiful plant? Well, number one is it grows up in single stalks. Do you see this? Single tall stalks. Then it has, let's touch it here, it has opposite leaves. Do you see how these leaves right here, let's go down to these two, right there. How they're opposite each other, and they're big and serrated, just meaning they have those indentations in the external border of the leaf. And if you're able to look really closely, let's see if we can get in here, we can see the stinging hairs. And so far I've only got one tiny sting, but let's see. There we go, look at that, wow. See those little stinging hairs? Now, they will inject, they're little silica-based hairs, and they will inject formic acid, acetylcholine, histamine, and a whole slew of other chemicals. And so it will definitely give you, see if we can maybe get a good leaf here, take this one off. And my favorite way to do this, I'm not sure if I can get my face on this, is to get the tip of my nose. Ooh, that was a good one, that's a strong one, beautiful. And then also my third eye point. Oh, this one's covered in aphids. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's got some little aphids there, surprisingly. So I won't eat this one, but I will give it the old third eye point. Let's make that one. Yep. So that is so good. It's so invigorating. Now there's three different medicines here. Number one medicine is the seeds. Number two is the leaf. And number three, which we can't see right now, is the root. And all three of them are powerful. The leaves are what we eat as a food. They're eaten everywhere as a wonderful green herb that you can use like spinach, make it into a soup. It's just a delicious plant. One of my favorite plants in all of nature. Very nutrient rich. It's also, fairly high in proteins, even though it's a plant. A lot of plant leaves especially don't have a lot of protein, but this one has more than most. And so now let's go back into discussing it. So the stalk here, not so square. Sometimes you'll find it to be a little more square than this. So this has somewhat of a squareness to it. And then also the opposite leaves and the very small stinging hairs, of course, make this plant unmistakable. And it likes to grow in damp, shady places. You won't find it growing in the deep forest too often, but you'll often find it growing in sort of places with a little mixed sun and dampness is a key feature. So this is stinging nettle, Urtica dioica, and it's one of our absolutely favorite medicinals. The leaves for food, the seeds for kidney function, as well as being a beautiful adaptogen, and the roots for prostatic hypertrophy, for BPH, which is what some people with prostates get, especially as they age beyond 35. And then also for conditions like PCOS that people with uteruses get. That's also, they're both due to sort of the way that testosterone manifests in the body for people with certain metabolic conditions. So this plant grows really freely and is such an easy plant to identify. And so the keys to ID, again, generally speaking, the singular tall plants without too much branching, and then the leaves at right angles, serrated edges, and the stinging hairs. Right now this plant's about 4 feet tall. It'll probably get to be about 6 maybe before it's puts its whole life force into it, and then it'll die back. It'll come back again next spring. And so it's a beautiful plant. It's easy to identify. It's all over Oregon. It's free. It's delicious. You can actually turn the old dried stalks, which I'm not seeing any here right now, into cordage. It's so, that was one of the first things I ever did with this, besides eat it, was to make it into rope in a primitive skills class, and that was a lot of fun. It makes an amazingly durable rope that can last for a really long time. So it's beautiful stuff. I hope you get out and get a chance to eat some. Sting your third eye point. Get this, the stings themselves aren't harmful. In fact, they're used as a counter irritant. That's the name of the herbal action. Oh, and look at this. It's growing right here next to a different plant, this is actually Siberian. This is, oh my gosh, Himalayan blackberry. I was going to say Siberian miner's lettuce. That's a totally different plant. But this is Himalayan blackberry with the palmate leaves and the real big thorns. This one doesn't inject anything, so we don't worry about that too much. This one, the Nettles, is just such a beautiful plant. We happen to it's one of our top 10, top 20 medicinals, not necessarily for its medicinal properties, but also for its food properties. And so the two of those together are amazing. And actually the seeds are, well, the flowers, I should say, the flowers are a great source of pollen for long-tongued bees too. So that's a beautiful thing. And you know, it takes a little bit of courage to get past the sting, but once you do, you start to see it as sort of a spring ritual that you look forward to. So when I go out and harvest nettles, for days my arms will just kind of be numb. The feeling of the sting is initially a pretty sharp and surprising pain, and then it gets numb. Then it kind of tingles and is buzzy. And so I think it sort of gives you an indication of how the plant is used. The plant is very energizing. From a energetic point of view, it's stimulating and drying. It's very drying. So it will definitely increase urine flow throughout the kidneys, and it can actually stop some instances. It can help with internal bleeding. That's complicated. It depends on what kind of bleeding, but in some cases. So I hope you get a chance to get out and find some stinging nettles and send us some pictures, because it's such a beautiful plant. We'd love to see more and more pictures of it. So here it is growing in our alley. And to healing, friends.